Maybe that's the Darian Grubb theme song. Got to roll with the changes.
Keep on rolling. Welcome back into the Rowdy Studios. I'm Buzz Cutler. This is my friend Bass Masters, my crew chief, Bass Masters.
I'm the driver.
By the way, you're fired.
Well,
thanks for getting me here, but we don't need you anymore.
You know what the thing of it is this.
Yes.
Yes, Darian Grubb was told back at Charlotte in the chase is what I'm understanding.
I was told early on in the chase before Charlotte that I wasn't going to be here next year. So
now, first of all, I think we need to say this.
Now, where did Charlotte fall?
Wasn't it the 5th race in the chase?
So they'd already won 2 races.
Yes.
When Darian
They'd won
Grubb
the first 2 races.
Was
right?
Dismissed.
They seem to have kind of slid back. Tony had finished like 25th and 15th or 14th something, and they seemed to not be on their game anymore. And you kind of said to yourself at that point, hey, the fuel mileage wins were nice, but it's going to be like Greg Biffle when he won the first couple races, and they'll sort of slip away.
Right.
That's not what happened. You cannot. I think we have to say one thing. You know, just whatever the chemistry on that team was, we don't know about. But based on the performance and the up and down that the team had, it's not right. It's not. It wasn't a crazy like what are they doing type decision.
Right.
Okay, you could understand it. But what I think we have to say is, for a guy to perform the way that Darian Grubb performed after getting that news, to make all the right calls, to get the car in the right position for Tony Stewart, to get the setups right for him, and to win a championship by being a very significant part of a historic run, that to me says a ton about the guy's character and mental fortitude, and you can't take anything away from him. I just feel like that performance on his part was also historic based on the circumstances and based on a call that, quite frankly, Cutler, I mean, you talk in NFL football, you talk about the drive, you know, John Elway, you talk about the catch, Dwight Clark. This was the call.
Yeah.
This was the call in NASCAR to stay out and stretch your fuel to put yourself in a window to make it on one more stop. It looked crazy at the time because Tony was basically just as fast as Carl. Everyone's going crazy like, what in the hell is this guy thinking? And it worked out perfectly.
Right, and we'll talk about the call in greater detail on another video. But the other thing, besides everything you mentioned about Darian Grubb and his performance at the racetrack, let's not overlook the fact that in many ways he had to hold this team together. It's not like it was a big secret that he had been fired. His team knew. As a matter of fact, pretty much the entire garage knew. Hell, if we knew, then everybody else knew, because we would be the last ones to know.
It became clear heading into this race that there was definitely at least uncertainty about his future. He made that clear heading into the race.
We heard the rumblings weeks before, and Darian Grubb not only held his team together, but he motivated his team. He talked in the post-race press conference about how they went out of their way to do things together as a team to boost morale. So it's not only that he performed on the racetrack in a stellar fashion after being fired, but he kept a team together that could very easily have disintegrated in the face of this news. And I think he needs to get some credit for that as well.
You know, and I don't want to overreach here on the metaphors, but I just think about kind of the times that we're in right now, at least in our country, and though in a lot of places where a lot of people have uncertainty about their future. And it is tough. I mean, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people just aren't really sure about their jobs. And, you know, this guy, I know he's in the top level of professional sports, and it's not quite the same thing, so I don't want to overreach here. You know, I'm sure he's going to be just fine, and especially now. But he had a lot of uncertainty about what he was going through, and he still stepped up and performed. And I think there's a lot for people who are going through that. You know how hard it is. And I think it was hard for him. And I think the fact that he still was able to do that, to me, it just impressed the hell out of me.
And I couldn't help but, you know, after the race, when the cameras caught up with him right there by the war wagon, and he had his son in his hands, and he shared a special sort of quiet moment with his wife, just sort of viewing that in light of the information that came out, you know,
moments later.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you know, that puts that in a whole different context.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, because obviously, you know, you look at Stewart-Haas now and you say, well, gee, maybe that was a pretty good combination we had there. Who knows how far down the road they've gone to other plans to replace him.
Well, the rumor is Steve Addington. Yep. Is that an upgrade? Is Steve Addington an upgrade over Darian Grubb? You know, I mean, it's hard to say, because a lot of it is chemistry and communication, and that not necessarily skill and talent. And
you have to ask the question, you know, if you go to Darian Grubb and you say, hey, dude, let's try to figure something out, whether it be competition director or continuing to crew chief to 14 or something. How would you feel?
Well,
and it's all speculation.
And I know Clint Boyer is all high on Brian Patty, but gosh, if you can get Darian Grubb instead of Brian Patty.
And Hendrick Motorsports, where Darian Grubb used to work, and he knows the deal over there. I mean, that was part of the reason he came to Stewart-Haas, is because he knew Hendrick Motorsports and could work that integration. So you'd have to be thinking about a place in the organization for him if you're Rick Hendrick, I would think. And if he doesn't have a spot at Stewart-Haas, I'd be like, yeah, I want that guy on my team.
We'll figure it out, man.
We'll figure it out.
We'll make a spot for
Hell,
him.
Darian, if you don't have anything else, come on, sit down here.
That's right. Join the Rowdy
Crew
Boys.
chief us to victory.
What does that look like?
I don't know. Obviously, we don't know.
All right. Well, that's Bassmasters. I'm Buzz Cutler, and sitting over there is soon to be Darian Grubb.
Can't wait.
Thanks for watching.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.